Everybody is asking, what are the top real world asset cryptocurrencies that I should be looking at? That's a question that I get all the time. So I'm going to give you three. I'm going to give you two, I would call them larger caps, and I'm going to give you one microcap that could potentially, if everything turns out the way I think it does, end up giving you 8, 10, upwards of 20, 25x returns. Now, before I do that, just remember I'm not a financial advisor, so always invest at your own risk. And one thing I will say is that in crypto, because of the volatility, and people think I'm joking when I say this, but as you start to finally make money in crypto, and you will, there's going to come a time where you're buying cryptos and they're up 2, 3, 4, 5x, some of them 20x, 30x, 50x. That is something that happens more times than not in crypto. But most people don't take profits on the way up. Most people will diamond hand, they'll hold it for larger returns, and they won't chip away and take profits on the way up. And just like they won't buy on the way down. So just remember, don't hold these things forever unless you're buying Bitcoin. And that's my opinion. So let's get into it. Number one, in no particular order. I mean, I would be putting more money into these first two, but I'm not going to say which one I really like more because I like them both. But number one, I'm going to say is Ondo. Excuse me. ONDO. And Ondo is a treasury play. If you understand U.S. treasuries, they're trying to help bring U.S. treasuries on chain. There's a lot more going on with Ondo, but that's one of their biggest things. They are an RWA tokenization project, and this may be boring to some people. I'm glad you're still here. If you're new, let me know in the comments if you're new, and if you haven't liked the video yet, like the video. But most people, they really don't know who Larry Fink is. And if you're somebody that's been in crypto, well, you know who Larry Fink is. Let me know if you know who he is in the comments, right? Put a 1 for me if you know who he is. Put a 2 if you don't. Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock, right? And BlackRock manages $13 trillion, almost $14 trillion. That's a larger number than most countries' GDPs. It's disgusting, to be completely honest. It is unbelievable how much money they actually manage. And they're talking about bringing everything that we do onto the blockchain. And the blockchain, if you don't know, if you're new to crypto, is the technology behind Bitcoin. It's called the blockchain. And essentially, it's a immutable ledger that similar to what the banks already have, but it's decentralized in some cases, depending on the project. A lot more transparent, I will say that. And what they're saying is that we understand crypto is something, or the blockchain is something that's not going away. We understand that we can save a bunch of money. We understand that we can bring the entire world into the United States ecosystem with blockchain. And the reality of it is a lot of people are cut out from our banking system, from our real estate market and our stock market, and they can't get into this system. Well, if we could tokenize everything, wow, we could have people buying fractions, right? Rich, poor, in the middle, right? Doesn't matter. You could be buying fractions of stocks, fractions of cryptos, fractions of real estate, fractions of different types of businesses, right? I guess you would call that stocks, but we would tokenize it and it would be a crypto instead of a stock. And also they talked about how they're going to bring all of the stock market, right, over $100 trillion in assets on chain. So why did I choose Ondo? Well, Ondo is a partner of BlackRock as well. So when I'm looking at investing in things and I take risks on low caps, which we'll talk about one of those in a few minutes, but when I take risks on things, I look at things that have institutional backing and partnerships, and I'm putting a lot of my money towards that because crypto is volatile. I know that these projects have a better chance of coming back when we go through ups and downs in the cycles. Now, the next project I put on your radar is Aptos. And the reason why I'm a fan of Aptos, A-P-T-O-S, I believe is how you spell it. The reason why I'm a big fan of Aptos is really the same reason that I just gave you for Ondo, right? And there's going to be more than one winner, right? And there's going to be more than just those two, right? You can be looking at the value that is being built on Ethereum, right? There'll be tokenization happening over there, but these two are really focusing on that. And there's something called the Build Fund. And what that essentially is a handful of cryptos that were selected by BlackRock to receive funding to be building or to help build the infrastructure that BlackRock is trying to build. A lot of people worry that, what if BlackRock builds their own infrastructure? And they're probably going to. They've announced that they're working on stuff behind the scenes, but it's not going to be able to handle every transaction. It's not going to be able to handle every single sector. So you're going to be partners with things. I would say you're going to buy them, but you can't really buy Aptos. You can't really buy the crypto. It doesn't work that way. You can't buy how do I say this? You can't actually buy the entity. You can buy the crypto. You can't buy Aptos. You can't say, I'm going to go in and buy this company, right? It doesn't necessarily work that way. So there's going to be a lot of partnerships in the RWA space, in the tokenization space in the coming years. I think that is very, very, very clear if you follow politics, if you follow what's going on just in money in general. And another reason why I'm very big on that project Aptos is because of what Paul Atkins, the head of the SEC, has come out and said that in the next 2 years we are going to tokenize everything. This came out of this man's mouth, right? So you're going to see a bunch of regulation finally get figured out. You're going to see, we've already seen the Genius Act and the Stablecoin Act, right? It's the same thing. We're going to see the Clarity Act come, and you're going to see regulation and finally like clear rules to the road. And so I think that tokenization is going to be a really large sector. Real world assets is going to be a huge sector in the coming years. So Ondo and Aptos, I think, should be on anybody's radar. And I hold a decent amount of these. I mean, and we're talking, in one of them I own over 50,000 worth, and another one I own over $30,000 worth. It's not like a small amount of money. And then if you're looking for a low cap, which is much more risky, but could give you potential from where we are today, upwards of a 10, 20, even a 30x, maybe even a 40 or 50 in the right situation, is a project called Pinlink, P-I-N-L-I-N-K. And I've worked with Pinlink in the past. I'm not currently working with them now, but I've seen what they're building. I've seen their infrastructure. And I mean, this project we called at 4 cents. It went all the way to almost $4. It was almost, not almost, it was 100x. And it's back down to about 8, 9, 10 cents. It's fluctuating around there. And a lot of people worry about, wow, how did it go so high and down so much? Well, because people took profits, because it's a small cap, it's a micro cap crypto, and that's what those small caps do. I was trying to explain to you in the beginning, these are massively risky plays, but they also give you the potential for upside of 10, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50x. Geez, if you've been following me, let me know if you, in the comments, you've been following me long enough where you were there for Pinlink that did 100x. You were there for EOS that did 100x. You were there for Cardano at a penny, right? You were there for many of these projects that did 5, 10, 15, 20x from 2022 up to 2025. Cardano way back in that was, 2016, 17. But anyways, I think that there's just a huge demand for the tokenization sector. I think that the world doesn't really understand it yet. I think that, and when I say the world, I mean 99% of the population, 98% of the population of the entire world, the 8 billion people that are out there, really have no idea that that's what's going to happen. And I'll give you one more example of why I think tokenization wins. If you want to invest into a heavy real estate project, if you want to invest into certain smaller businesses that aren't on the New York Stock Exchange, right? If you're somebody in another country that wants to invest in real estate in America for tax benefits and all those kind of things, growth, obviously, you can't. A lot of people have, you need to have a certain amount of money, accredited investor, you need to be an American, like all these things, right? Well, tokenization will allow all of these different businesses, real estate entities, and ideas that are going to be created over time. When I say tokenize, an NFT is created, a non-fungible token, and you're able to buy bits and pieces, tiny fractions, say a minimum of $5, right, of this huge apartment complex that Grant Cardone decided to bring everybody in on. But now you can do this globally, and you can do this with the click of a button from your phone, from an app. So there's a lot more to unpack, but we have 10 seconds left in this video. So make sure you guys follow. We'll be talking more about it over the coming months. And make sure you guys like, share, all that good stuff, comment, and we'll see you guys soon.